7 days later, and it's still out there. The thing that escaped, the only one we couldn't recapture. The forest swallowed it whole, as if it's waiting. We swept every inch of that perimeter, found nothing. No footprints, no blood, no sound. Just emptiness, silence, and fear. We were trained to contain monsters, but that wasn't supposed to exist. Classified report, Incident 07D. Recorded transcript, Security Operator, Unit 824D. Date, 7 days after the incident. Location, Sublevel 3, Zero Complex. Unit 824 Delta reporting. Mandatory log, as per post-incident red level protocol. This is my report on the events of the rebellion. I understand this content will be reviewed by upper sectors and archived. I understand it may never be heard by anyone outside these walls. Even so, I record it, because forgetting would be a mistake. The Zero Complex hasn't always been under control. There was a day, a single day, when everything nearly ended. When the system failed, when we failed, and the price is still being paid. 7 days later, in the bodies still turning up, and in the ones we never found. Everything seemed normal during that night shift. The air was heavy, but the containment system had been flawless for months, until a failure in the multiple containment sector. Automatic doors opened simultaneously across several blocks. The red siren blared, ripping through the silence of the facility. The alarm sounded like a battle cry against what was coming. No one was prepared. Emergency lights flashed in a frantic rhythm, and the automated voice ordered evacuation. But there was nowhere to run. Only corridors, darkness, and the horror closing in. He was doing his rounds down the cell corridor. Everything seemed too quiet, until the lights started flickering. Suddenly, a muffled crash came from Wing B. The door to Cell 06 opened on its own. In the next second, the guard there didn't even have time to scream. The screams that followed were indescribable. Creatures emerged from the cells, not like men, but like broken monsters. Arms too long, pale skin, empty eyes. They didn't run, didn't hide. They just walked and killed. The corridor turned into a battlefield in seconds. The smell of blood and burnt flesh spread. Silence was replaced by screams, gunfire, and the sound of bodies falling. No one was prepared for that. Seconds dragged as if time had frozen, but the terror moved too fast. The corridor I was in turned into a living nightmare. The sound of heavy, dragging footsteps echoed through the metal walls. Cries for help mixed with desperate gunfire. But the bullets felt like noise, nothing more, against those things. Some guards were taken down instantly, victims of precise, brutal strikes. Others tried to fall back, but the corridors were mazes that swallowed any hope of escape. The containment system, once thought to be unbreakable, was now just a distant memory. Automatic doors slammed shut, emergency lights flashed in erratic patterns, and the air turned thick with the smell of blood and something else, putrid, almost acidic. I could taste the metallic bitterness of fear as I fumbled with the radio, trying to call for backup. My words came out broken, swallowed by the chaos around me. It felt like the very structure of the complex was trying to consume us alive. Block B fell in under 3 minutes. Block C lasted a little over 5. We realized this wasn't a normal breakout when Block D was opened from the inside, as if something was coordinating it from within. Cameras started failing one by one. The few that still worked showed only empty hallways, or hallways too empty. There was no sound, no breathing, just that silence. That cursed silence. We tried setting up barriers at the access points, but it was useless. The creatures, some of them former inmates, now unrecognizable, moved like they knew every inch of the complex. They avoided direct confrontation, chose their targets calmly. I saw one of them on the monitors before the full blackout. A being too tall, its arms dragging on the floor. Skin pale like soaked paper covered in scars. And the eyes. God, the eyes. He didn't run, didn't scream. He just looked at the camera and smiled. Some of us tried to fight back. We set up an improvised containment line near the central elevator, rushed barricades, auto rifles mounted at the flanks. It worked for 30 seconds. The first creature that appeared broke through the front barricade like it was made of paper. It wasn't just brute strength. It was tactical. They came from blind angles, used sound, manipulated the lighting. I saw one of ours dragged into a ventilation shaft. I can still hear his screams. And then he appeared. The thing from cell 06. He walked, didn't run, didn't look around, just stepped over the bodies like they weren't even there. Like none of this mattered, like it was inevitable. One of the guards fired at him, hit him in the shoulder. He didn't even flinch, just turned his head, slowly. Those pale white eyes locked on the shooter. And when he moved, it was like watching time break. His arms moved like blades, fingers sharp as surgical steel. He didn't kill. He dismantled, piece by piece, in complete silence. Despite his human shape, that thing wasn't human. I don't know what it is, but it's not something meant to exist. The quarantine protocol was triggered too late, but it still worked. We sealed off blocks E and F with controlled detonations. Entire areas of the complex were sacrificed to stop the spread. 3 surviving teams regrouped in the lower command station. We isolated the access tunnels and flooded the exits with Delta-9 gas. It worked. Most were recaptured. Some were dead. Others vanished into the ventilation systems. But one escaped, the one from cell 06. When we finally regained access to the external cameras, we saw the north gate had been opened. No, ripped off. The markings in the concrete weren't human. He walked into the forest and disappeared. It's been 7 days since the rebellion. 7 days since we lost control. 7 days since he escaped. Patrols in the forest have doubled. Thermal cameras pick up strange movements at night. Always out of reach, always just far enough. We found animal carcasses, torn apart, scattered in patterns that resemble dissection. No signs of feeding, just destruction. Soon, I know, it won't be just animals. He's still out there, and he hasn't finished what he started.